What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV. Video today about who will be the next Arsenal manager. Before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that thumbs up button and leave your comments below afterwards with feedback about who you feel the next Arsenal manager should be. Now, we saw yesterday a disappointing 2-2 draw with Norwich. Freddie Ljungberg's first game in charge. He made changes. I think the attacking element of our game improved, but defensively we were the usual shambles. Question marks over the team selection from Ljungberg. I think he kind of tried to prove a point that Socrates has been out of form. But the problem was Mustafi and David Luiz, two defenders next to each other who were very likely to make a mistake. I'm not sure Freddie is probably ready to take the job. Freddie's not ready to take the job yet. But who will the long-term replacement be? Now, David Ornstein wrote an article today, and I'm not saying everything Ornstein says is gospel truth, but his belief is that Arsenal are going to try and get a manager who they can get without having to pay anything to get him out of the club, which would point towards Allegri and Pochettino perhaps being the favourites for the job. Now, I've said over the past few days that my number one target would be Brendan Rodgers for the fact he knows the league, he's a good coach, plays good attacking football, communication, no problem, obviously, and that's who I would look at. But there are other potential good coaches out there as well. So if we're looking at the factor of maybe Arsenal want a coach who isn't going to cost them anything, it would point towards Pochettino and Massimiliano Allegri. Now, which one of those two is more suitable for the club? Pochettino, although he's a good coach, I do have my reservations about him being ex-Tottenham, and not just ex-Tottenham. I think he's kind of ingrained into their club and history. It's not like he left the club by his own accord. People say, "Oh, Sol Campbell Part 2," but Sol Campbell walked away from Tottenham to join Arsenal. Pochettino's been kicked out of Tottenham. It's not the same. Although he may have motivation to do well, I don't think him and Daniel Levy kind of separated on the best of terms. I'm not sure about Poch. No trophies, ex-Tottenham. I'm not sure our fan base would have the patience with him if we lost a few games. We haven't got the most patient of fans. Allegri, I've got reservations about, despite the fact he does have a brilliant CV. A number of titles in the Italian league. I think his standout performance was winning the Italian league with AC Milan, an AC Milan team that was inconsistent, but he's very disciplined, at times defensive and pragmatic. His lack of English is something that I think Unai Emery struggled with, was communication, and that worries me with Allegri. But I do think we need to appoint a permanent coach. Who else? Briefly, Mikel Arteta has been mentioned. For me personally, and this is just my opinion, I don't want anything to do with Arteta. I don't think we should be going for a manager with no experience in management. And this whole theory that, because he works next to Pep Guardiola means he's going to be the new Guardiola. That doesn't work for me. Now, obviously, sometimes you do have to create a manager and you don't find a Pep Guardiola if you don't give them their first job. But I just have nothing in my head that makes me think Arteta is going to be a great manager. I think it's more than coaching issues. Which means, who else can we look at? Nuno Santo's been mentioned. Personally, not a big fan of going for him, although he has done a good job at Wolves. There is no standout candidate. I think if you ask 20 Arsenal fans who they want, they would name 6 or 7 different managers. People have said Rafa, Ancelotti, Ten Hag from Ajax, Nagelsmann from the Bundesliga, although I think he and Ten Hag have both said they don't want to leave mid-season. So I think really it leads to Allegri, Pochettino. I think Mikel Arteta would leave Man City if he was offered the job. And I think Brendan Rodgers would take the job. It's just from what I've read, apparently we would have to pay around 10 to 12 million to get him out of his contract. Now, would the club be willing to pay that? For me, I think for a manager is very important. So 12 million for a top quality manager is a bargain in my opinion. Granit Xhaka costs 35 million. Mustafi costs 35 million. So a manager at 12 million should not be a problem. So at this stage, there's no standout candidate. I don't want to go over it again, but I'm just going to say briefly that I genuinely believed that we missed a huge opportunity not getting Jose Mourinho. I know he's at Tottenham now, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I just think he would have ticked a lot of boxes at Arsenal. And, I think his reputation, his motivation to do well, I think, as I said before, I think we missed a huge opportunity, but we need to go onwards and upwards and look for someone else. So at the moment, I'm not too sure who the ideal candidate is. As I said, I would go for Brendan Rodgers. After that, Pochettino, I'm unsure. I think he's too much of a Tottenham manager. In my eyes, Allegri, I'm not too sure. The communication, the lack of experience in the Premier League. Well, obviously no experience in the Premier League. And then Arteta, who I'm not interested in personally. I don't think Freddie's ready. And, Rafa, again, he's very pragmatic as well. And, he's on huge wages in China, so they would have to give him a big contract. Ancelotti, 3 or 4 years ago, would have jumped at the chance. I'm not sure now. Although he was tactically brilliant the other day against Liverpool for Napoli. So, lots of names out there. As I said, I think we should have got Mourinho. Right now, I would go for Brendan Rodgers. Let me know what you think. Would you give Freddie an opportunity? Would you go for Arteta? Or would you go for an experienced manager? Ornstein says Arsenal are favouring a manager who isn't currently with a club, which would lead us towards Allegri and Pochettino. Let me know what you think. There'll be lots more content coming up. The Talk is Cheap show will be out later today on AFTV, so look out for that. We'll be breaking it down a little bit more about this whole Emery and who the potential new manager could be, and Ljungberg, of course. And also the players, the players are at fault as well. They can't keep hiding behind Emery anymore. He's gone. Are our players good enough? We're going to go into more detail about that on the show. I'm also going to do a video about that tomorrow. Are the players at Arsenal as good as we think? Let me know what you think. Who would you like to see as the new Arsenal manager? Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bless.